The last ancient weapon Uranus has a name that's derived from a god that rules over the sky. But who is it? Or what is it? And where is it? Today I'm going to be sharing 3 of the best theories you'll ever hear on what Uranus actually is. So the way this will work is we'll start out with the most unlikely theory, then go to the second theory which I think has a higher probability of success, and then I would like to share the best theory, in my personal opinion of course, on what the last ancient weapon Uranus actually is. And trust me, you want to watch till the end. And be sure to subscribe because I'll be dropping quite a few videos and theories in this 1 month break. So let's see if we can try and get to 500 subs because that would be amazing. Without further ado, let's start with theory number 1. Now this one is a theory that will absolutely shock you, and probably not in a good way. People might even say this is idiotic at first glance. Personally, I also think it's the most unlikely option, but don't rule it out just yet. The last ancient weapon Uranus is Captain Kidd's Devil Fruit. I know what you're thinking, massacre, this is impossible. But did you know there's actually one force that we need to navigate the Grand Line, and that happens to be the magnetic force. And in One Piece it's said that islands create their own peculiar magnetic fields, and some islands like Punk Hazard don't even have magnetic fields. And interestingly, the reason for this phenomenon has never been explained. It's a bit strange, no? Could it be that a previous awakened user of Kidd's Devil Fruit was the one to assign these magnetic fields with his special ability, Assign? And I think the parallels between these 3 pirate captains, Luffy, Kidd and Law, might be a reason this could all work out. As of chapter 1053, their bounties are 3 billion each, being held as the 3 people that defeated the 2 Yonko. But I believe Oda is doing something intentional with this lineup. All 3 of these characters may have extremely important devil fruits that are pivotal to the endgame of One Piece. As we all know, Luffy, his devil fruit, it's the sun god Nika, literally a fruit derived from a deity. Next we have Trafalgar Law, the Opie no Mi, whose importance is probably on par with Luffy's devil fruit, the ability to perform the immortality surgery within the One Piece world. Doflamingo said it was one of the 2 powers he needed to become a god. Then you have Kidd, who can slam people with his magnet fruit. But that's not all that can be done with the fruit. That's all Kidd has done with the fruit, because Kidd is mid. Okay, I gotta stop saying Kidd is mid now. He's actually pretty decent. Like, he's done quite a bit. But what relevance could this fruit have? Well, I think it could be something related to the One Piece endgame theory. Could it be that this fruit was tasked to do this? Change the magnetic field of each island so they can all interlock. And this is what the devil fruit was really meant to do, to make the real Pangaea once again. If you're unsure what I'm talking about, Pangaea Castle is a castle that the government controls in Mary Joyce. And when the Earth was a continent about 250 million years ago, it was also a world continent called Pangaea. So this would be creating the real Pangaea, not the world governed Pangaea. So one of these devil fruits saves the world, one gives the gift of immortality, and the other connects the world into one piece. Also, there's something really interesting I found recently. Basically, in the Enel cover page where it's looking at the moon paintings, we see 2 different paintings. One where the moon people are all having a good time, this guy's doing an operation here, civilization is thriving, they're all standing on an upside down straw hat, and in the second, tears. Natural resources have run out and they are forced to leave. But what is even stranger is what is accompanying them in this image, right here. I feel like this is telling us what happened in the Void Century. Civilization was once thriving, an event happened which changed everything, and then the ancient weapons were developed. We see in the image Sea Kings, which is what Shirahoshi needs to be called Poseidon. So maybe the other 2 ancient weapons are in this image? We see a strange rectangular looking thing which in theory could be Pluton. And lastly, we see a weird circle thing at the top, which if we continue this trend would represent Uranus. One in the water pushing a boat, one a battleship beneath ground, and one in the sky. And interestingly, has cardinal directions which looks to resemble a compass. So could it be it ties back into our theory that Kidd's Devil Fruit is actually the ancient weapon? But also there are a few problems with this theory that I want to address. We do have to consider the fact we don't know how practical it is to change a whole island's magnetic field. And second of all, I'm not so sure this is the route Oda is going with the last ancient weapon, even though of course it's possible. But all in all, I think it's an interesting theory for sure, so the probability of success I'm giving this theory is 3.000, that's 10 zeros, you know, in tribute of Kidd's bounty, percent. So basically I'm giving it a 3% chance of success. But okay, let's go to a completely different concept, a complete 180 on what the ancient weapon Uranus could be. Not Captain Kidd's Devil Fruit, but it is the original serum that created the giant. giants. And there are a few reasons I feel like this theory is even more probable than the first one. First off, in Greek and Roman mythology, the giants had a battle with the Olympian gods, where the giants were literally born from the blood of Uranus. Yes, the same name as the ancient weapon. And there's something very strange about the world government and the Yonkers' obsession with giant creation through unnatural means. We found out recently through Big Mom that the numbers were failures from experiments that tried to recreate the ancient giant race. And we also found out that the government had been supposedly researching for centuries to create these giants. It begs the question, why would someone even seek to do this in the first place? I've always thought that it's a blueprint kind of deal, where the ability to create giants on a whim has actually existed in the past, and therefore these experiments are being conducted. And just to back this up, the governments are essentially copycats. The Lunarian race, the gods, used to live atop of the red line, and then what did the world government do? They started living atop of the red line. The ancient weapon Pluton, developed by the ancient kingdom, is a battleship that can destroy an island with one blow. What did the world government do? They developed the Buster Call. And if we continue this trend out, the gigantification process could also be the world government trying to emulate the great ancient kingdom, in specific, the ancient weapon Uranus. By Caesar's own admission, outright turning people into giants without any side effects is impossible, and when a character normally says something is impossible, it normally isn't, and comes back to the story in a big way. Although this doesn't link with the revelation we discovered earlier with the moon painting, it does seem to fit with the general direction of the story, especially with the real ties to Uranus in mythology. So for those reasons, I'm giving this theory a percentage probability of success of 17.6%. And if you guess correctly on why I picked 17.6%, I will pin your comment. Now before we go into the last theory, and in my opinion the best theory of Uranus, let's go through 7 honorable mentions and the probabilities quickly. The straw hat, 0.56%. The egg, 1%. Momo, 1.23%. Zunisha coming at a whopping 2.31%. Vivi, 2.5%. Luffy, the man, the myth, the legend, 5.6%. And the main man, Dragon himself, coming in at 6.66%. The reason I can't go through all these theories in this one video is because there will be way too many to cover. Like, I think the other two are way more interesting and maybe even more likely. But this one, in my opinion, is the best theory anyway. And this one you need to hear to the end. Like, actually to the end. The last ancient weapon, Uranus, actually is... Drumroll please! Uranus is a space machine developed to explore the solar system, and I want you to hang around till the end because through developing this theory, I may have accidentally come across proof of the actual location of Laughtail. But I'm not starting this theory off with some evidence, but rather a story. There once lived a man named Luffy. His dream was to be the freest man on the seas and make a world where all his friends could eat. He adventured across the blue sea, explored Sky Islands, even went deep underwater. He thought he was the freest man in the entire world. But one day, he found out that the world was bigger than he ever imagined. Instead of one, there were actually 8 moons. The world government tried to hide the truth. Now this man named Luffy had 2 options: stay the king of the blue sea or go out and explore the infinity. Which would he choose? But you're probably wondering, ReelRayman, what is the 8 moon stuff? And what are the world government hiding? You must be high or something. Well, the truth is in that every single symbol we see, the Kozuki symbol, the sky people, and the alabaster flag, by the way, all deeply connected to the ancient kingdom, all resemble a symbol that is a circle with 8 surrounding orbs. Now for sure, it's a representation of the sun and the coming of dawn, but I think Oda is playing his classic tricks here. And this is also hiding the truth of the ancient kingdom's 8 moons. In Ohara, Professor Clover did have a globe that was the centerpiece to the library showing 6 moons, but of course we did not get a full view of the globe. And Clover, he had vast knowledge about the D-Clan, the ancient weapons, he even knew the true name of the ancient kingdom. So I would assume his model of the earth and the surrounding satellites was also accurate. Now if there are 8 moons, how are we gonna explore them? That's where the ancient weapon comes in. Remember that image all the way back at the beginning? You probably remember my proclamation. 3 ancient weapons in the image, but also we have a guy wearing a fish suit and the ancient weapon associated with fishmen, Poseidon. We have a guy wearing a helmet with Zoro's earrings. So potential ties to the Shimotsuki clan. And potentially this relates to the ancient weapon that hides under Wano, which is Pluton. And then we got a person wearing antennas. And of course I speculate this thing is the ancient weapon of the sky. Now let's consider the man reading the artifact. It's a Nell. How did he get to the moon? All he needed was a few divine soldiers to build him the Arc Maxim, which by the way are not even close to advanced as the ancient kingdom. And this was a flying ship that could travel to the moon and had the power to devastate islands wherever it goes. Now if this idea is built upon and we have at least 6 moons on the O'Hara globe and a more advanced kingdom capable of making spacecraft, wouldn't it be possible for there to be a space machine that can travel to these moons? Because we have to remember, the ancient kingdom's people were potentially just like Luffy, pure explorers. So what was stopping them from going and traveling to space? Nothing. But what is stopping the current generation from going to space or ever finding out about its existence? The world government. But now I will reveal my finale, my final piece of evidence. I've done the detective work of Oda's cover pages and you guys might also like this. Also, I think if you made it this far into the video, it's fitting you subscribe to the realest channel in the West. We know Oda does tons of foreshadowing in these cover pages. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, but there's none like this one. I noticed the space pirates on the moon all seem to wear some type of clock or fuel system on their suits, which I thought was very interesting because I remember a cover page of Usopp playing around with a mini rocket with a clock. It says up here, power alarm clock. Then I saw this cover page. And this is when I freaked out. No, really, this is my reaction. Luffy is sitting on his Pirate King chair. A monkey with a crown is behind him. They're all either pointing to a map or a globe. I assume it's laughter since Luffy is dressed up as Roger and all. But under Nami, we see that it says PAC. The same PAC we see with Usopp and the clock and the link to space. Either Oda's trolling really hard right now or I'm onto something huge. And finally, there is this cover spread. We see a clock. Oh no, we see many clocks. That's interesting. But if you look closely, there is some writing on the main clock. The machine that can travel. It cuts out. It cuts out. I want to know where the machine can travel. But then Sanji's shirt says 3 o'clock. And Nell goes to the moon in chapter 300. Coincidence? I think not. But if you look down. What? Chopper. Infinity sign. I'm starting to put this all together. This is the machine that can travel to space. And what is that machine? It's not the Arc Maxim. It's something greater. Developed by the ancient kingdom themselves. Uranus. The last ancient weapon, the space machine. Probability of success, 56.29%. If you like this video, leave a like or share this video to a friend or a group. Trust me, it helps more than you think. And if you want to see more One Piece content from me, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Bye for now.